Hi, this is Isabel, and I'm back here talking more about working while worn out. And if you've watched my other videos, you know the basic idea is you do not have to be young and vibrant and have endless energy and work your butt off in order to have a beautiful, rich, powerful, purposeful business in the world. You can do your purposeful work. You can expand and grow your business and make the sweet connections you need to make with other humans in order to bring in more business, even if you have a limited energetic capacity. The other thing I want to talk about is what I'm going to call creative business design, and I think that name was inspired by Anya D, who's a wonderful financial coach. And I think one thing we do far too little is creatively design our businesses to suit us. And again, my larger work in the world is this idea of truing, right? And how we create wildly true lives and businesses, right? That bring our special magic out into the world. And one of the four kind of pillars of the work I do with clients is business design, right? How are you going to design this business so it feels spacious and gracious and delicious and yummy? And I talked in a previous video about giving yourself smaller containers for work. And I just gave the example of like a 3-hour workday instead of a 5 or a 6 or an 8-hour workday like we somehow think we have to do or need to do to be effective. And I just really wanted to add on that there's other ways we can be creative in our design, and most of it involves um, jettisoning the notions we have of how it needs to be done. I was in a somebody else's Facebook group recently, and someone was talking about um, I guess feeling overwhelmed by having a lot of coaching calls, right? If I have 20 clients and I'm talking to them weekly, that's 20 calls a week, and I just don't have the capacity for 20 calls a week. And one of the things that I did, just as an example, and again, there's a million ways you can do this, is I've kind of evolved a coaching model with my private clients. I don't talk to them every week. I have two main packages I do with clients right now, and one of them is one call a month with me, and in between we do email, and we do a lot of email. So obviously works for people who that works for, but we continue the conversation by email with check-ins, with questions, with submitted work, and we have a really vibrant back and forth by email. Um, and then my other package is 2 coaching calls with me a month and the email in between. And what that does is it lets me have more clients, it lets me work with more people, but not be so heavily scheduled with appointments. So I tend to have pretty relaxed weeks. I tend to have pretty relaxed days. And I would say a typical day for me, I might have 2 calls, right? And not 4 or 5 calls. And that's one form of creative design that I've done, so that I can still work with clients, but not have as many scheduled calls. Because for me, email's easier. And again, it might not be true for you, but email's easier for me. And again, I have some flexibility about when I do it. I can pace it differently. So that's just an example of giving yourself permission. So if there is something about your business, the way you've currently designed it, that feels heavy and burdensome and not fun and not energizing and overwhelming, anything in our business that makes us hesitant to grow more and bring on more business is actually a beautiful pointer to what may need to be creatively redesigned in your business. For a long time in my coaching groups, I would do 2 calls a month, and the calls would be an hour and a half, and that's because that was the model I'd had, and that made sense to me, and so on and so forth. But um, I realized that both for me and to some degree for the people in my group, that call was a big deal, right? Like they had to clear a 2-hour block in their calendar, and they had to stay focused and pay attention for a longer period of time, and so on and so forth. And so what I just started doing in my latest group is, instead of doing 2 hour-and-a-half calls a month, I do 3 1-hour calls. Now it's the same amount of time a month, and you might say, but Isabel, it's another call on your schedule, and that's true. But there's just something about that hour that feels lighter and feels easier. Um, One of the things it freed me from is, with the longer calls, I sort of felt like I had to teach and present and have new content. And uh, and with the hour, I really don't. Like, we check in and we do coaching, and that's pretty much it. You know, I might just remind them of a principle or something, but I don't really. So I'm doing less prep. I'm doing less teaching on the calls, and there's just a fluidity to it that seems to be working really well. Another example of creative business design that I've been playing with, and again, I want to be really clear, these are what's true for me. They may not be true for you. I'm not trying to say these are the strategies you can use, but I want to share these stories as examples of, you really don't have to do it the way you may think you have to do it, particularly if the way you're doing it right now is not working for you. So the other thing I decided, I've been leading groups for years, and I love leading groups, both small and bigger groups. And there is a part of me that loves teaching. That's why I'm on this video talking to you, right? I love having an idea and sharing it and telling the story of it. Um, but like I was saying, you know, I was doing the teaching on the calls, and that was a certain amount of prep, and you know, if somebody missed it, la 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 la. And I ultimately decided that it was a lot more freeing for me to take the teaching I wanted to do and do it on video, and make those videos available in a sort of evergreen way. So if you missed the call, you could still get that little bit of teaching, and you didn't have to listen to the whole call. And then again, what that did is it freed me from having to create content on a set schedule. And so now I can do what I mentioned in the other video. I can strike while the iron's hot. I can go with my creativity. I can create a lot of teaching content and put it on video, and then I make it available to the group. And then it's on them to listen to it. And again, that really frees the calls we have with each other live for conversation and dialogue and coaching. So I encourage you, if there's anything about your business that's feeling heavy and burdensome, that you consider if you could apply some creative business design.